Hi, everyone. It's Emil. It's Emil Guillermo. Emil, I'm up to you. Standing in our dimpled gong booth, the Garland dimpled gong. That is a nose, by the way. It's a nose. And this is the dimpled gong. How are you? Did you have a good Christmas? I hope you had a great Christmas. And like I said, I asked my Jewish friends, do you mind if I say Christmas? I mean, can we dispense with the euphemisms, the avoidance language? Can we dispense with the happy holidays? I mean, we're into Kwanzaa, yes. Happy Kwanzaa for those who celebrate that or a version of that, the harvest holidays, the days when we are thankful and have gratitude. Very important holiday, Kwanzaa. But for the rest of us, it's all just Christmas, right? I mean, it's not intended as an offensive bit of language to be non-inclusive. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, well, in case you celebrate, or if you don't, look, it's just all Christmas, and there's no intent to offend, no intent to say I'm better than you, I'm a better Christian, nothing like that. It's just an intent to show a kind of universal love, right? That's Christmas. Christmas is universal love. There's no fear, there's no anger, there's this universal love. Don't you feel it, or do you still feel it, or did you have problems feeling it this weekend? Because a couple of things I want to talk about. I want to talk about that "Let's Go Brandon" BS, because the truth is out about that guy who claims free speech. We'll talk about that. But I am going to play the holiday Christmas time story where I talk about my three trees, and my cousin Julian Simeon will join us, or on tape. We'll do it on tape, and I'll replay part of show 208 or all of show 208. But that means I'm going to go really short in show 209. This is show 209. And now everyone is saying Merry Christmas on the chat. Merry Christmas to you, all you listeners. Like I said, I'm going to replay a bit of 208, but it's worthy to talk about some of the things that happened on Christmas. Like Joe Biden gets on, he's doing this public service, right? He is talking on, let's see, where is it here? Got to go back here. He's on this phone call, right? And this guy, Jared Schmeck, he didn't realize it was a live call to Joe Biden. And, Schmeck was kind of joking around. He gets a Christmas greeting from the president, and then he says the phrase "Let's go, Brandon." And you know what "Let's go, Brandon" is about, right? It's code. It's code among the Trumpers. It's code among the non-vaxxers that indicates that you want to do something vulgar against Joe Biden. Essentially, it's F Joe Biden. And the whole origin of that is at a NASCAR event. They were interviewing NBC was interviewing some driver, and people were saying the vulgar F Joe Biden, and the announcer was quick to say, "Oh, they're just saying, let's go, Brandon." He was trying to cover the announcer. The announcer was trying to just be cool, not political, and trying to apologize for the fact that when you're out there live, things happen. So That's the origin. Then on Saturday, Jared Schmeck, who's also a plumber, spoke to the Oregonian. He's from the Portland area. He said he didn't intend to be vulgar. He says, "I'm frustrated because I think he can do a better job. I mean, no disrespect." But then he said, "But this was my right to be funny. This is my right to my first. I'm a Christian man. For me, it's God first and foremost. I don't follow any one man blindly." Well, actually, he said that he was just trying to be funny, and it was against his First Amendment. If you criticize him, it was as he saw it, a violation of his First Amendment right. Well, he does have a First Amendment right, and it is absolute. But he also, during Christmas, if we are to be civil, he has a kind of obligation to be courteous and civil to the commander-in-chief of this country. And I think that's where the criticism came from. When people saw what Schmeck said, the "let's go Brandon" thing, after, Biden was just being collegial because he's just being a politician. Even agreed with Schmeck. Oh, yeah, let's go. Because Biden was not totally with it. But now you know Schmeck's true colors, because today Schmeck appears on Steve Bannon's podcast, and he said, the election was 100% stolen. He said Donald Trump is his president. He didn't say Donald Trump was his Lord and Savior, but for a lot of these guys, that's what it's about. So his true colors come out, and, that's his First Amendment right, certainly. But now we know Jared Schmeck's true colors, and we know that what he was saying to the Oregonian on Saturday was just BS. Yeah, he has a First Amendment right, but this is the First Amendment right in America. You have a right to say anything you wish, but you also must deal with the debate, because it is about more speech, not less speech. You have free speech, but it means there's more speech to come. It's a debate. And I think everyone on Christmas and on Sunday, if you were watching the news or watching social media, you might have felt what I felt. Like, what is this guy Jared Schmeck talking about? Talking to the president, saying, "Let's go Brandon." See, here's the thing. People want to joke around. They'll say they want to joke around and be funny. It's just a cover. It's just a cover. And he revealed himself by going on Steve Bannon's podcast. So we know where to put Jared Schmeck. He's no First Amendment advocate. He's just another Steve Bannon pro-Trump stooge. That's what he is. So anyway, I hope you had, despite that was like, fortunately, that was the big news over the weekend. Oh yeah, there was weather, like the big pileups in California. We needed the weather. We needed the snow. We needed the snow for the snowpack for the businesses up there. We also needed the snow for the rain, for the reservoirs. The state needs water. I mean, you got reservoirs that are a third full. You need the rain. But now it just came, and between Saturday night and Sunday, they had to shut down the roads, Highway 80 over Donner Summit. And so if people are thinking, well, I'm going to go skiing this weekend, this is a great weekend to go, they got stranded. They got stuck, and the ski resorts closed. So, so you had that, and then you had the general mayhem at the airports, which was all about pilots getting sick, the workforce saying, "Hey, we got COVID, can't come in." Then the protocol saying you got to stay away. So there's going to be a kind of a ripple effect. They had something like today, as I speak, about 1,000 flights canceled, and over the weekend, maybe another 2,500 flights canceled worldwide. I hope you are not trying to get home when you listen to this. I hope you're home already, but my heart goes out to you. There's this obligation we feel like, oh, we got to get out there, and we have to we have to participate in the holiday and be with all our family and our friends. And I don't want to say I told you so, but I was a Grinch from last Monday. I said, I'm canceling. I'm not going to take part in this because number one, I don't want to expose myself to the inconvenience. And it's not just a mild inconvenience, it's a massive inconvenience of the logistics. I mean, it was like planes, trains, and automobiles. And everyone knows, everyone who loves that movie knows that's a Thanksgiving thing. That's not supposed to happen during Christmas. By Christmas time, you know that those aren't pillows. Okay, movie reference there. But really, I decided a week ago, no, I didn't want to play. And then just in case, I had one of these, right? I got one of these, which is the test, because in case I was going to gather, I wanted to make sure that I could protect the people I was going to be with, or that the people coming to me could be protected, because we need to know that information. But so many people didn't have access to tests. And believe me, I mean, I don't have all that many of these, but if there was someone who needed them, if I could get it to them. I was lucky to have them, but they say that we're going to have more tests in January. 500 million free tests. And they're not cheap. They cost anywhere from $18 to $25. And if you are, doing it for work because you want to make sure that you're safe, and then you come back home and you want to make sure that you're not exposing anyone at home, that's easily $20, $25 down the drain. I hope that you can write it off on your taxes or something. But this is why the need for the free tests are real. The need for some kind of equity. We know that there are people who are, can't inoculate themselves either physically or by medication. They can't help but be slightly more exposed than the rest of the population. They got a job, they need testing, they go in line, 2 hours in line, they get in line, they run out of tests. COVID's not easy if you're not, if you're economically challenged, if you're not making as much money, if you're not certainly the 1% are protected. They can go gallivanting and see it in the news. This celebrity's over here, that celebrity's over here. They're out gathering. But it is just, you just see how the inequities pile up. And now we're talking about Omicron, and Omicron is more, it's more sticky than previous variants, because it will spread. It is more it is apt to spread faster, wider, although they say earlier reports that maybe the disease isn't as serious, but early numbers, we don't know. We don't know. In fact, you track some of the numbers. It's distressing when you see all across the country the numbers that you can find in the Post, Washington Post, or the New York Times. The big spike, it's like flat spike. District of Columbia, daily cases up 265%. New York, daily cases up 93%. New Jersey, daily cases up 119%. Now, they're all like under 200 cases, but still that kind of rise. And this is a 7-day rolling average. You look at the numbers and you say, "Oh my God, we got Omicron coming along, and it's latching on as quickly as it can." And let's hope that the trend continues where people are not getting as sick, because the cases are spiking all over. Some places they're doing better. Oddly enough, the red states, like South Carolina, 17%. Idaho, up 1%. Montana, is that a red state or a blue state? Up 9%. But, some of those red states that are truly red, Alabama's up 110%. Mississippi, up 115%. So we got to be careful out there. And sometimes being careful just means staying put, which is why I just had to come on today and kind of wish you a Merry Christmas and hope you had, whatever you did, hope you hung in there and had as merry a Christmas or as merry a holiday as you could, because it's hard. I mean, I was reading an article in the Post today, Washington Post. It talked about how people are somewhat they're feeling ashamed because they're getting it. They're getting the virus, and they follow all the rules. There's those kind of people who say, "Hey, I did everything right, and what's happening?" And they're feeling a sense of shame. First of all, they should not feel a sense of shame, because especially now with Omicron. I mean, this is from Dr. Peter Hotez, who's the Dean of National School of Tropical Medicine at Baylor. He comes on CNN a lot. He wears the bow tie. And this is what he says. "It's important to understand that with the Omicron variant, we're facing a virus that is more transmissible than Delta, and in turn, Delta more transmissible than Alpha, and so forth." He says, "Some people have misunderstood the role vaccines play in preventing illness, believing that they protect against any and all infection. That's not the case." Hotez points out just 2 to 3 months after getting the Pfizer booster, protection against symptomatic infection from Omicron drops from around 70 to 75% to 30 to 40%. Just 2 to 3 months after getting the Pfizer booster. So here's a quote from Hotez. "The bottom line is that getting infected with Omicron could now happen to anyone." And this is the real, it throws a new factor into your assessment of whether or not you should do or not do, gather, not gather, go to a restaurant, not go to a restaurant, go to a ball game. I've got theater tickets that I bought in October, thinking that, oh, surely by January, everything's going to be okay. And here I am looking at a January 9th matinee, and I'm thinking, I got to cancel now. I don't think we're going to be ready to go anywhere January 9th. And it's all based on the data that comes in, which isn't coming in really as quickly as we would like or as we need. It's based on your willingness to take on risk. Are you risk averse? Are you a risk taker? And the other thing is, do I really need to do what I want to do that badly? Yeah, I'd like to see Mike Birbiglia. Yeah, I like Mike Birbiglia. But do I want to see him in the front row so he can spit on me? These are questions. So I don't know what's going to happen there, but for now, I hope you're doing okay. Like I said, I had a good Christmas dinner. Something about Christmas. You just eat and eat. I think that's the gift. The gift is the 10 pounds. And even when you're a small gathering of two, my wife, you still eat. And we greeted people by phone, digitally, and all that. But we kind of missed not having the kids and the family. But the risk, I think we can put off celebration for another time. And that's the love. That's the love part. Okay, so I was going to keep this short. I am going to keep this short. I'm going to keep my live portion short, but I wanted to come on and I wanted to just say hello. Because a lot of my friends would say, well, I don't want to see you. You still alive, Emil? Yeah, I'm here. And now I'm going to play the show 208, where I tell the Christmas story. So I'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow, maybe we'll talk about E.O. Wilson, the sociobiologist. His obit came over as a bulletin this morning, so it's not widely known. But he was the guy who wrote the book on sociobiology that said that your genes determined your life, essentially. That the genetic impact was so much greater, and got into trouble for that. And he did it by studying ants. He looked at the ants, and from ants he just expanded and started looking at all of humankind, saying, going from animal kind to humankind, saying, well, this explains this. And he had some critics from scientists. He said he was too rigid. Life is messy. But he also got a lot of criticism from people who thought that he was using science, or he was apt to be used by people who'd want to say that, oh, well, this proves the inferiority of certain people because of genetics, which got him into trouble, which fortunately this wasn't the only thing that he did in his scientific life, but it's the most controversial. And we know that in the nature-nurture debate, it's really not just one or the other. It's kind of a mixture. So maybe we'll talk about that tomorrow. Although I don't know. He just talked about it now. Anyway, all right. So here's our Christmas story and a little ramble up to that. Our show 208 on Emil and Amok's Takeout, not live. Okay, here we go.
Hi, everyone. How are you? It's me, Emil Guillermo. Emil Amok to you with the takeout. Emil Amok's Takeout, because we're still taking out after all these months, soon to be all these years, still taking out. Look, I am so glad that I canceled travel plans because people would have been stranded. I'm just glad I had the foresight to be grinchy about things, because it's Christmas Eve and the airports are crazy. They don't have enough staff. They're canceling flights. It's just best to be here in front of my dimpled gong and my garlanded dimpled gong, and to be with you here safely on Christmas Eve. Hey, this is what I like to call the micro talk show of the AAPI and the AAXs, or you don't have to be either of those. You could be the ALLs, all's the rest of you. Welcome to the program. We're here 2 Pacific Live, and if you notice, I'm on a little early. It's because there was just so much stuff I wanted to share with you before we start at 2 o'clock Pacific Live. With the formal part of what is show 208. This is our holiday, Emil Amok's Christmas Eve holiday story time. But there was just so much stuff to talk to you about in the lead up. And it's all emanating, of all places, from Boston. I was talking on the phone with my friend, Jimmy Garoppolo, throws an interception in the football game, 49ers against the Titans, which looked like the 49ers were going to win. Then they lost. And then my friend's talking football. And then incidentally, he says, "Oh, I tested positive for COVID." This is just a performer friend of mine who, we met at some fringe festivals that we've done. And, I just could tell he just needed a little comfort. Fortunately, he's double vaxxed and boosted. So what happened was this was a breakthrough case. He did something foolish with his family. They went out, they gathered, and they got sick together. I mean, his brother's got COVID. He's not going to be the only case. And so it was just another reminder that, holidays being holidays and the need to gather. They were gathered for a college graduation, one of those midterm graduations, which was fun. They went to a bar, they went, but he's got COVID. Now, it's not as serious. This is one of the good things about Omicron. You may not get it as seriously, but it still takes its toll. Thank goodness he's vaccinated. If you're unvaccinated, that's a problem. You ought to get vaccinated. There's still time. But I'm glad I'm glad for my friend that he's vaccinated. He got the breakthrough case, but I think he'll be all right. So I got this call from Boston, and then I'm reading the Boston papers, and for Asian Americans, this is a significant case. It's the case of the young woman who was texting her boyfriend. Remember that? They're both Boston College students. In Young Yu, born in South Korea and an American citizen now. Her boyfriend, Alex Ortula, Filipino American, she sent him thousands, literally thousands of texts. And her case, she was supposed to go up to the highest court in Massachusetts. She was convicted, but now she's dropping the appeal because yesterday she pled guilty to involuntary manslaughter. In Young Yu, given 2.5-year suspended sentence. And this was quite the story because here's the lead from the Boston Globe. A former Boston College student charged with goading her boyfriend to take his own life avoided prison time on Thursday by agreeing to plead guilty to involuntary manslaughter and accept her role in Alex Ortula's death, a plea deal blessed by the victim's family. This is a long and involved case. Had she gone to trial on this, she could have faced up to 20 years in prison. Instead, she gets a 2.5-year suspended sentence, 10 years of probation. The district attorney who brokered the deal says this agreement with defense counsel was made in close consultation with the Ortula family. It is consistent with their desire to seek accountability and closure to protect the legacy of Alexander, a loving son, brother, and uncle. They believe this is something that Alexander would have wanted. I mean, this is when it broke 2019, it was, of course, before COVID. It was on graduation day, as you'll recall. They got in a fight, exchanging texts. She was controlling his life, continually badgering him. And then he said he was going to end it, and then she pleaded to not, and I think that was probably the reason why she was able to get the plea deal, involuntary manslaughter. But the judge said, in imposing the sentence, urged you to make every possible effort to live your life in a way that honors the memory of Alexander Ortula. And that is why it's a good Christmas story. Because put yourselves in the shoes of the Ortula family, their son, 2019, about to graduate from Boston College, right? Gets into this fight with his girlfriend and kills himself. And imagine the young lady, her family, how broken up they are. And they were at Boston College, so there's a bit of spirituality, religiosity within. And imagine how they must have been throughout all these years since 2019. And fortunately for COVID, or because of COVID, this case was kept localized, because I was looking through the papers today and I saw it and I said, oh, man, I was wondering about what had happened to this case, the disposition. But this is the thing about deals that come up at Christmas time. There is a place that people find in their hearts for forgiveness. Here is a statement read in court, as reported by the Boston Globe. The family, Mr. Ortula's family, said, quote, "We bear no feelings of anger or reprisal. We believe that time will take us through in the moments we mourn and celebrate his life." And this is why I thought, before we get into the holiday spirit, we should remember truly the holiday spirit during the tough parts, the tough things in life that happen during the holidays. When you're asked to show love to people who, by all logic, would suggest there is no love for someone who you feel is responsible for the death of your son. And yet, you just know that this is best. Another statement from the Ortula family: May 20th, 2019 was to be a celebration of graduation and the beginning of his productive life. But instead of him moving forward into the world, planning and enjoying the next steps, we, his family, abruptly found ourselves planning and attending his funeral. It was so painful, very painful on the drive back home. But we bear no feelings of anger or reprisal. We believe that time will take us through in the moments we mourn and celebrate his life. It's the Christian way, right? And I talk about this story before we get into our holiday story time, because this is a family in mourning, a family in grief, a family with some control to say to the lawyers, go after Miss U, DA, go with the full force of the law. But they found in themselves, especially now during this time, to find that place in their heart that says, here's a better answer. Here's a better solution. And young Yu gets 2.5 years suspended sentence. She's on probation, 10 years. She avoids. She could have faced 20 years in prison. And the Ortula family said, let's work on getting to an answer. And that spirit of forgiveness was found, coincidentally or maybe not coincidentally, this holiday season. Maybe it's a miracle. I mean, that's what we look for during Christmas, right? We look for these miracles. We look for these moments. We look for these moments that say, we got to do better. Something has to be better, right? And they found it. So I shared that story about the Ortulas and In Young Yu because, like I said, it's a sad story, but ultimately, it was a sad story in 2019, sad story in the Asian American community, but also it sends a message to everyone who might use social media now, young people using social media to, indicate their love for undying love for someone. Or look, people are fragile these days during the holidays. You do something wrong, something can happen. If you know someone who's not feeling well, depressed, down by the holidays, reach out, help them. Every story that I'm seeing about this also includes the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-TALK. Because this is the kind of stuff that happens when things aren't quite right. But somehow the holiday season finds a way to get to the best answer. And I was touched by the Ortulas, willing to forgive. Because I know when things have been done wrong to me or my family, sometimes there's that, or maybe you can relate too. You want to fight back. You want to, you want to attack. Well, the best thing is to stand back and say, how can we get to that moment of peace and love? Spirit of Christmas. All right. It's time for our holiday party. We had a holiday party of sorts yesterday. Professor Dan Gonzalez was here. We're talking about Filipino food and Filipino decorations and whatnot. And then also the news and our regular show 207. But this is show 208, Emil Amok's Christmas Eve holiday story time. 2:00. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you being here. I'm doing this live. I know that it might be late wherever you are. Maybe Christmas is well on its way. If you're in Europe, and the Europeans out there, we know that the Dutch are locked down, according to the news. We are not in 2020. We're not in March 20. We are, in fact, worse than we were in March 2020. If you look at all the graphs, but we're going to make do. Because we have ways in which to show our love, ways in which to show our gratitude. And I thought for the holidays, for the Christmas holiday, this is one way to talk about holiday stories, family stories. I got family all over in the Philippines. I got family in Dubai. I got family in all over. Hawaii, family in San Francisco, all over the Bay Area, family in New York, family in, where are they? Oh, they're not there anymore. They're somewhere else. They're in California. And I thought, okay, let's tell some family stories. And this is my family story. When I talk about Christmas, It's about, and if you go to the ALDEF blog, aaldf.org/blog, maybe I'll put something up there. But this is a story, the whole story, my 3 Christmas trees. This year, we're again in the dark, finding a new variant and seeking light. So when I want to get into that Christmas mood, I look for it, especially early in the morning when the day is darkest and the sun is about to rise. I'm sitting with my coffee. It happened today, this morning. I sit with my coffee. I plug in the only light in the room, a Christmas tree. The light. It's always about the light. In the morning, or even at the other end of the day, the PM, especially in San Francisco, when a gray day in December goes from danky to dark. And the only light that will illuminate and immediately change the mood is the light of a well-lit Christmas tree. It's Life by Christmas Tree. Christmas tree light, the only light needed this time of December. Not to be confused with my fake tree, which some people might call Christmas tree light, like Bud Light. A fake tree, Bud Light, Christmas tree light. No, I love fake trees. I will now. My love for the artificial tree runs deep. Why get hung up on real when even the light is artificial? Until you see them all together, and then there's this glow. And things go from artificial to Xmas just like that. You don't need a tree to shed pine needles to be magical. I try not to be a tree grump. There are chauvinists out there who say, I insist on real. No. Me, I'll stick with my unboxed, inorganic, perpetual, evergreen. Hard plastic, soft lights. The feel of Christmas. The first tree. In my family, my dad was always in charge of the tree. A real tree? No way. Our tree was plastic, special, modern, eternal. My dad's tree came in pieces, like a 5,000-piece jigsaw puzzle. He didn't even read the instructions. It was like the tree was its own Ouija board. He had all these pieces, and he knew what it had to look like. But the pieces had a way of finding each other, like perfect triangles stacked on one on top of another. All these pieces of plastic. Every year, this would be my dad's challenge, to make the geometry work. 2 right triangles with a perfect hypotenuse, with a common perpendicular spine from top to bottom. Of course, he would swear and pull his hair when the branches didn't fit in the proper holes. Oh, those round holes. There were a lot of them. This was the ultimate tinker toy. Or Lincoln Logs. Not Lego. It was plastic, but not Lego. This would take the whole day, just like going out in the woods to cut a tree would. Not really practical, since the only trees around where we lived were in Golden Gate Park. And that wouldn't be right. And then later on, when we lived near Dolores Park, and what did they have? Palm trees? That wouldn't be right. But after all that, including a short break to scrape meat from coconut shells to put snowflakes on the brown mochi pastry my mother would make in the steamer, we'd end up with a tree, and then the string of lights, and a small train around the tree, and I'd sit in all of it in my footy pajamas, holding my prize gift, a cowboy Western 6-gun, emulating my then hero, Hopalong Cassidy. Under the tree, I was Hopalong Filipino. Happy? I was hoppy for Christmas. The second tree. By the time I was 8, my Nina and Lorraine upped the stakes for everyone. And I went to my cousin Julian's house. He'll be here talking about something in story time. But there we were. In the corner of their dining room, looking out at the street, was their tree. And it wasn't plastic. It was beyond plastic. It was aluminum, like the stuff they cooked the turkey in. An aluminum tree, which, as the cartoons love to remind us, was Mooney Moolah spelled backwards. This was a dazzling display of the holidays. I would stare at that tree and marvel. Stainless steel would be too rigid and heavy. This was aluminum. Aluminum, soft, light, branches and twigs that would sparkle and bounce. But then, the piece de resistance, the light emanating from a spinning filter over a fluorescent bulb. It would be put on the floor, and it would Roy G. Biv all over the tree. Roy G. Biv, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Roy G. Biv all over the tree. The rainbow in the tree, making it look like it was moving in light. The tree was spinning. This was pre-1968 Summer of Love, before Haight-Ashbury. In my Neenung, San Francisco home, I was hallucinating Christmas, staring at the aluminum tree and all its lights all night long. The third tree. Later, I confess, I saw perhaps some value in real trees. It was 1989, and I was in need of something. Frankly, I was desperate. Maybe a real tree would be better, I thought. I just lost my job. My wife was pregnant. We were paying the mortgage with my severance, and that was running low. And I was looking for jobs all over the country and doing a radio show on an ethnic station to make ends meet. Bay Area Filipino with Emil Guillermo. It was on a staticky AM station. I don't think he could have even heard it that clear. I made enough to buy a real tree. We went down to Safeway by the Mint on Market and DuBose, and I learned the lesson from my dad. What do you look for when you're looking at a tree? Triangles. On top of bigger isosceles triangles, joined at the perpendicular, stacked one on top of another, the triangles. But there are so many imperfect trees. We found one that looked the best. It passed our Pythagorean standard. A squared plus B squared equal, wrap it up and take it home. Put it right up there in front of the living room, by the coffee table, which I used as a desk. I put a tape recorder and my typewriter. Yes, not computer. I said typewriter. I was typing letters on a typewriter next to my princess phone. Yes, I said princess phone. Waiting for a prince to call Emil? No, just a news director from somewhere. I was calling all over the country looking for an opening. I figured the tree, the lights might help. And then one afternoon, when the day had gone from dank to dark and only the Christmas tree lights illuminated the room, the phone rang. It was Adam Clayton Powell III, Vice President of News at NPR. And this is what he said. There's a stack of resumes in front of me, and you're in the correspondence pile, Emil. And I said, yeah. And he said, wouldn't you rather be in the pile that was for the host of All Things Considered? It must have been the Christmas tree light. It had to be. It was the beginning of the conversations that would get me to NPR in Washington to host All Things Considered, and my wife would get to PETA. She'd be PETA, and I'd be Nipper, and I was so excited I yelled for my wife, Kathy, 9 months pregnant. She had news of her own. Her water had broken. The baby was coming. We raced to the hospital, but we were early. If we stayed out a few hours, they wouldn't charge us for a whole day. So we waited in the car. Then a Datsun 200 SX. We waited until there would be room at the end. And by the time we checked in, We were having the baby. We had gone to Lamaze classes, but it had reached the point where all my wife could say is, drugs, give me drugs. The baby took its sweet time. And by the afternoon on the 22nd, the baby finally decided to come out. They pulled out a bowl of red something. The baby? No, dummy, that's a placenta. Okay. And then they brought out something like that. Is that the penis? We're having a girl. No, that's the umbilical. That's what I get for not taking AP biology. We had a girl, and she was healthy. We got her home. Christmas carols were playing on the radio, in the car, then at home. Oh, holy night. Again and again. But it was different this time, this night, on the coffee table, under the tree, the real tree, and the artificial lights. We placed our daughter in her car seat carrier, our makeshift living room creche, under the tree, in the light. It all made for an unforgettable Christmas. It's why every time I'm in those lights, I feel it. I know it. The moment has come. Merry Christmas, everyone. And it happened exactly that way. So I think I put part one. I put the first Christmas tree up on the Aldef blog. But I hope you'll come back and maybe I'll do this another Christmas. But maybe you'll share this story with your friends. Now, the next storyteller is my godbrother, Nina and Lorraine's son, Julian. He talks about a Christmas before I got to his house to see the aluminum tree. And his tree was, well, I'll let him tell you. He talks about the guy who usually comes on Christmas. And so here he is, Julian Simeon. Okay. All right. Hang tight. Hang tight. I have to do something here. I have to find the tape again. And here it is. And all right. So here's Julian Simeon. I have to share it. Share it, and because it's there. Here we are. So now we're shared, and now we're shining. And let me kill the music and go full screen. Here's Julian Simeon talking about the guy who comes on Christmas.
I remember believing in Santa. And when I started to have my doubts, we still lived at 112 Gage Street, below Bernal Heights in San Francisco. The youngest of three, I was 5 years old when we moved away from there. My brother, already 10 or 11, told me there was no Santa and that he had proof. My sister at 9 or 10 tried to protect me from such meanness. Why he felt the need to take Santa away from me, I'll probably never know. But I held out. I was determined to prove him wrong. There is a Santa. No, there's not. Yes, there is. The candy in the stocking. Last year, Mom had a big bag of it in her drawer. And she has more this year. There is no Santa. So what? There's a Santa. Mommy! What? What is going on here? Kuya, older brother. Kuya says there's no Santa. Vincente, there is a Santa. It's okay, Anak, my child. It's okay. There is a Santa, Mommy. Mommy, is there a Santa? Of course, Anak. Vincent, go to your room. Don't tell your brother such things. My ate, older sister, came to my side. It's okay, Julian. If you want, I'll read you a story about Santa. Would you like that? She always tried to look out for me. She understood. Later, she read to me. 'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house, not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. Yeah, I wanted to prove my brother wrong. I would prove there was a Santa. So that Christmas Eve night, I quietly got out of bed and slipped into the living room. I crawled into the back of our fireplace and waited. I was determined to see Santa. The night grew really dark, really quiet, and really cold, just like in the story. I must have fallen asleep. I woke when I heard my dad's voice. Julian, what are you doing there? Come here. Why are you there? Come out. Come on up there, Anak. Smiling, he picked me up. What are you doing there? I want to see Santa. Santa won't come if you're there. Koya says there's no Santa and that he can prove it. Anak. If you believe there is Santa, there is Santa. But if you don't, well, maybe there's no Santa for him. Come on now, go to bed. I felt comforted in his arms. You better watch out. You better not pout. It's okay, Anak. You will see. Oh, let us leave a cookie and milk for Santa. We woke the next morning. I was excited to open my big gift. I smiled when I saw the empty glass of milk and the half-eaten cookie sitting at the fireplace. Maybe there really is a Santa.
A Santa.
Santa.
I thought you said Sanka. We had Sanka in our house. and Santa drank a Sanka.
Yeah. Decaf, he had to be out all night.
That was great. You know, you told me ahead of time. You said, "Oh, I don't want to be too corny." Look, this is the holidays, and of course, the reality of Santa is so important. But did you ever think that Santa was maybe a Filipino? Did you ever think Santa was a Filipino?
No, never. No.
Never. Come on.
I mean, there's no snow in the Philippines. You know, it had to have snow, right?
Well, that's why in Hawaii, which is American Philippines,
Okay.
they put Santa on a surfboard.
Okay.
Mele Kalikimaka. Right? Well, I don't know, but
Not
you
as
never
a- not
never
as a
thought,
kid,
huh?
No.
Okay, well, all right. I don't question you being Filipino or anything. I'm just saying if you
with a lot of coconuts. So.
Yeah. How about the elves? The elves were any of the elves Filipino? Maybe.
maybe. That's a possibility. Yeah.
I mean, the North Pole Filipinos. There are Filipinos up in Iceland. There are a lot of Filipinos
Yeah.
in Iceland.
My godbrother, Julian Simeon. We were, I just asked. He's a storyteller, and I asked him to tell a story, and he came up with that. And that's like he lived on Gate Street, where he had his Santa Claus confrontation with his kuya. And then later on, we got the aluminum tree that I was hallucinating over. But these are our stories. These are our family stories. And this is what Christmas is about. And a small part of me is sad because I'm not with my sister and my daughters and we're apart, but we're together this way. We're together in the way we can be. And this is the way of Christmas now. And so we're not going to like moan about Christmas past, and we're not going to even think about Christmas future. We're going to think about Christmas now. And this is what we do now. We try to stay safe. We have a maskless Christmas on Zoom. We celebrate with one another, and we tell these stories that are stories of the heart and stories that remind us about what Christmas is about. Not about the food. It's about the joy. It's about the memories. And it's Julian and Nina and Lorraine. I've known them all my lives. And it's just great to reconnect and tell these stories. So that is Emil Amok's holiday Christmas. Well, I asked my Jewish friends yesterday. I said, I notice you guys are throwing around the Christmas thing like you're not like you don't care or you're not offended by the term Christmas. And my friend, the great David Feldman, said, "Oh no, there are more important things." And even the Hirschenfeld said, "Oh, there are more important things. Wait, Christmas, yes, of course. We'll have the Chinese dinner. We'll see the movie. We'll have a great time." But the thing about Christmas is that for this one day, everyone is focused on the event, whether or not you are Christian or not. People just enjoy the moment, the holiday, and they're gathered and they're around each other. And the focus is about community and it's about love. And even when we can't gather, it's about all those things. Even when it's just a guy talking to a laptop, a guy talking over digital communications, it's still about a sense of being together, sense of community. So that's it. Show 208 in the can. Thank you for joining us on Emil Amok's Christmas Eve holiday story time. Show 208 will be back again on Monday. Enjoy your Christmas Eve. Enjoy your Christmas wherever you are. Check out show 207 where I talk about Filipino Christmases with Professor Dan Gonzalez. And go check out all our other shows on our YouTube channel or on Twitter at Emil Amok, and also on our website on amok.com. All right. So as we end all our shows, you get this far in, if you're feeling like, oh, I don't belong, I'm unworthy. No, you belong. You're worthy. You're here. Give your elbows a hug. Yeah. No shame. Go through that door. You belong. And As I wish for me, I wish for you. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. And may you live with ease. Have a Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Emil Guillermo here. Till next time. Mahal kita.